Thank you, Zach. I'd like to thank Zach for that tremendous performance to kick off the celebrations. And now I'll invite Elder Joyce Beaver to open our event.
Thank you, everyone, for the wonderful turnout. And for many, many years, I've known Thelma. I think I met her in 1995 at a Northland School Division conference in Edmonton here. And then we started working together in about 1979, 80, in the early 80s. And then I lost her for a few years when she went into the Senate. And then I was in Edmonton for health reasons, and I was making moccasins so I could have spending money. And she seen a poster of mine, moccasins for sale. And she phoned me. She said, "Are you the Joyce Weaver I know from way up north?" I said, "Yes, I am, if you're Thelma Chalifoux." And she said, "You get down here right now. I have something to offer you, and I want to meet with you." So that was in 2001, and I've been here ever since doing courses here for moccasins or other thing. And it was such a great pleasure. She was just like a sister to me, a mother, my confidence, the best friend I ever had, and I miss her dearly. Thank you so much for attending, and it's such an honor to come and say the prayer today. Thank you. I thank you for this beautiful day, for the rain you gave us, and for the beautiful sunshine, and for all the people that have showed up here. May you protect them all as they go home today, and thank you for all the gifts and blessings you have bestowed upon this family and these organizations, and that we all remember the wonderful things that Thelma did. I ask this through your son's name. Amen.
Thank you, Elder Joyce Beaver. And good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Tun se. Bonjour tout le monde. Merci d'être avec nous aujourd'hui. My name is Marcel Vivros. I'm the Director of Operations for Canada Post, and I'm proud to be your MC as we pay tribute to the life and work of Thelma Chalifoux. Before I begin, I'd like to acknowledge that the land we're gathered on is Treaty 6 territory, traditional lands of the First Nations and Métis peoples. At Canada Post, we have a culture of prioritizing safety. One way we do this is by starting our meeting and event with a safety pause. Our guiding principles are make it safe, make it home. In that spirit, I will ask that you mind your footing throughout the event here today at the Mischief Cultural Connections, located in historic Juno House in the St. Albert, Alberta. As you know it, there's no parking on site, so as you go back to your vehicles today, just be careful as you head out that way. And as we go over to unveil the stamp later on today, there's some uneven ground, so just be careful there as well. This is the perfect setting for our celebration, as it was near and dear to Ms. Chalifoux's heart and one of her lasting legacies. We'll hear more about that today. Thelma Chalifoux was a highly respected community leader and champion for social justice. For many special guests who have joined us here today to help us honor her, two of Ms. Chalifoux's children are here, Robert Coulter and Sharon Morin. They'll speak today. Several other members of our family are here as well. We're also pleased to have Canada Post President and CEO Doug Edinger joining us to discuss our iconic national stamp program and introduce a tribute video that captures some of Ms. Chalifoux's notable achievements. Our first speaker today, Melanie Omenehu, President of Le Mischief Opentensewak, Women of the Métis Nation. Ms. Omenehu is a descendant of the historical Métis community of Lac St. Anne and is a proud member of the Métis Nation of Alberta. Inspired by her mother and other strong Métis women role models, Ms. Omenehu played an important role in the development and the incorporation of Le Mischief Opentensewak, and to her three-term re-election as president of that organization by Métis women across the homeland. Ms. Omenehu has devoted many years to representing Métis women and their priorities at various national and international tables. Earlier this year, she received the Queen's Jubilee Medal in recognition for her extensive community work. It is my pleasure to invite Mrs. Omenehu to the stage.
Good afternoon, everybody. First off, I'd like to thank Joyce Beaver for starting us off in such an honorable way and doing it by the traditions of our Métis Nation. I want to acknowledge that we're here on Treaty 6 territory and also the historical St. Albert Métis community of our Métis motherland. It's an honor to be here to honor Thelma. It's an honor to be here with her family, especially. I feel very honored that they have asked me to be a part of this presentation. Thelma was a Métis matriarch that showed by example what the overwhelming work of being a Métis woman did to form a better community for all of our people. Would you pass me my water? Sorry about that. I met the Honorable Métis woman as a young person, and she taught me so many things. She was one of our trailblazers. Like Thelma, I learned that the importance of working for our community and making a better future for the future people of our community was what was important. She was impassioned to do that. Senator Thelma Chalifoux's family can tell you about the sacrifices that she made for her family and her community in her lifetime due to the hardships that existed. But in spite of that, she never identified as an underdog or a victim. She was, but through her experience and knowledge, there to help others and make sure that the barriers that existed for her were removed. She truly was an incredible Métis matriarch who brightened the world and served the people by standing up for children, women, the elderly, families, and the larger Métis Nation. The best part of speaking publicly is because you start choking when you get up here. Sorry. I want to tell you about some of Thelma's firsts. I know that people always talk about that she was the first Métis woman to be in the Senate, but that was only a small part of the first that she did in her life. She was a founding member of the Slave Lake Friendship Center, which still goes today. She was the founder of the Michif Cultural Institute here in St. Albert that is still a raging success. She was the first Métis woman to receive a National Aboriginal Achievement Award, and she was the first Métis woman to host a Senate and to chair the Senate at the Métis Nation of Alberta. And she was also the person that always made sure that our historical pieces of the Métis Nation were sacred and kept safe so that she could share them with the future generations. I also want to tell you a little bit about Métis women in sashes. Many, many years ago, Thelma was the first woman that I ever knew of that would wear a Métis sash, and she made a Métis sash for many of us. And there was much criticism at first that women didn't wear sashes. Well, Thelma showed everybody that we could make new firsts and women could wear sashes and be proud of who they were. Thelma was so much more of a person that she had tremendous tenacity and a boundless compassion for everything that she did. And when she put her heart and soul to something and believed in something, there were no ends as to what she would do to stop her. And the reward always was that she had a community and a family that stood by her and loved her. I appreciate the unveiling of this stamp so that more Canadians can know and will acknowledge and hear about the accomplishments of Thelma Chalifoux, who was an amazing trailblazer to our Métis women in our community, and I was honored to be one of her mentors.
Thank you, Ms. Obinihu. St. Albert Mayor Kathy Heron unfortunately could not be here today, but she sends her warm regards to the family of Thelma Chalifoux. She also sent us a written message I'd like to read to you now. I regret that I'm not able to attend the celebrations in person, but appreciate the opportunity to share a message with you today. I commend Canada Post for taking the initiative to honor one of the most remarkable and inspirational people of our generation. Throughout her distinguished life, Thelma Chalifoux was a resilient, courageous, and visionary advocate for Indigenous peoples, particularly the Métis. Although she passed away in 2017, Thelma's legacy lives on in the various initiatives she championed, continue to work and make a positive impact. It's hard to grasp the many firsts associated with Thelma. Her determination and boundless energy helped her overcome countless challenges and reshape our thinking on a variety of fronts. Her national and international contributions are legendary, but as Mayor of St. Albert, I want to speak to the work that she did locally in our community. As a founder of Michif Cultural Institute and now Michif Cultural Connections, she established an institution dedicated to protecting and preserving the Métis language, history, and culture. Thelma devoted a great deal of passion and energy to this effort, and I applaud all those who devotedly carry on this important work on her behalf. In closing, I want to extend my thanks to the event organizers, my congratulations to all of Thelma's family and friends, and my very best wishes to everyone for a successful and memorable event. Now I'd like to invite the dancers to the stage for a traditional Métis jig dancing performance in honor of Miss Chalifoux. Thank you very much. Oh, the jig now. Okay, back up here. Pardon me. I'm sorry about that. Is that correct?
Just give me a second.
It's not official.
I'm just teasing you. There we go.
Oh, just fantastic. Not until the Red River Jig, right? Absolutely. Yes, there we go. Well, how about that? Lots of energy there and so forth. You guys can take 5 now. There we go. Good job over there, getting some water. There we go. Wonderful, wonderful. All right. Now, I would like to invite our president and CEO, Doug Ettinger, to say a few words up on stage here. Doug?
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you, Marcel. Hello, everyone. That's a hard act to follow. I got tired just watching. But look, it's bonjour. It's great to be here, and thank you for joining us to celebrate the life and legacy of a truly remarkable woman, Thelma Chalifoux. And you know, we had a little bit of rain this morning, and I'm sure we all were wanting that rain to help with those terrible wildfires to the west of us. But it's great that we have a nice afternoon to do this, and all the family can gather together. But merci d'être avec nous pour rendre hommage à Thelma Chalifoux. My name is Doug Ettinger. I'm the President and Chief Executive Officer of Canada Post, and it's a true honor to be here today. Canada Post takes great pride in sharing our country's stories through our iconic national stamp program. Our stamps celebrate and commemorate the people, events, and accomplishments that have literally shaped our country. And more than just an image, stamps highlight the events, the people that are very important to Canadians. They mark the milestones of our shared history. And in the case of today's stamp launch, they celebrate the achievements that exemplify the very best in us. It's not, and you won't be surprised to hear this, it's not an easy process to select the individuals we feature on our stamps, to identify the biographies and the stories that are important for Canadians and important for our history and our legacy. When Canada Post launched the Indigenous Leaders Stamp Series last year, we reached out to Indigenous stakeholders across the country to help guide us in the selection process. We wanted, of course, to tell the stories of those leaders who made a real, true difference within their communities and whose dedication also impacted the entire country. The Métis National Council selected Thelma Chalifoux as a leader whose influence and legacy should be commemorated in this stamp series. And there's absolutely no doubt, and I know you'll agree with me, that Ms. Chalifoux's story should be shared, it should be celebrated, and it should be honored. And that's what we're doing here today. As the first Indigenous woman appointed to the Senate of Canada, she was an absolute trailblazer and a powerful force for social justice. Drawing from the strength and lessons she gained while overcoming her personal challenges, Ms. Chalifoux dedicated her life to improving the welfare of her people, particularly Métis women. She helped create many provincial programs related to housing, education, and social assistance. She was also, if that wasn't enough, also a very successful entrepreneur, the first Métis woman to broadcast on private radio, and part of a Métis delegation that actually engaged in constitutional talks with the Prime Minister way back in the 1980s. After retiring from the Senate at age 75, Ms. Chalifoux worked as an elder in residence and helped found Mischief Cultural Connections. That's obviously the beautiful Métis Museum and Resource Center that we're standing next to here today. To commemorate her life and her tremendous work, Canada Post has created a tribute video in Ms. Chalifoux's honor. Let's watch it now together. Regardons la vidéo.
I always refer to her as the fiercest woman in the West. Thelma could not be who she was if she did not have that fierceness and that power within her to be the woman that she was and be her. My mom had this word, and we use it quite a bit. It's otapim salak, and it's being your own boss and standing in your own space, and my mom lived that.
Thelma Chalifoux was born February 8, 1929, in Calgary, Alberta. Her father, a proud Métis, taught her to work hard and value her roots.
She always talked about him being her best friend, and he would say, Thelma, we are the Métis and we are the best. And he always instilled that in her about our culture.
Driven by her compassion, Chalifoux volunteered in soup kitchens and joined the Military Reserve Force during the Second World War.
She was writing letters to the soldiers back in World War II there, and she liked to dance, and so that's how she met my dad.
When the marriage became abusive, Chalifoux left with her children and went to social services for help. The children were then taken from her and placed in the child welfare system during the 60s scoop.
I think that really ignited her warrior spirit because she really worked hard to get us back together as a family.
Chalifoux finished school and was hired as a field worker with what is now the Métis Nation of Alberta. She later found work as a land claims negotiator. Channeling the strength she gained from her own challenges, Chalifoux fought for equality for her people.
She'd say, "You're never brown enough and you're never white enough." And my mom always owned her culture. She never tried to hide it. So she was always defending.
So she would go into the meeting and she'd plant her little Métis flag right in front of her and, letting them know that, we're the Métis and we're here to negotiate, on behalf of our people.
Chalifoux co-founded the Slave Lake Native Friendship Center, which provides programs and services for urban Indigenous people. She was the first Métis woman to serve on the University of Alberta Senate and the first to broadcast on private radio.
Thelma she was a doer. She could get things done. She was a spitfire of a woman, and she seen a need, and she didn't let anything stop her. And
she would never accept, the status quo. Like if she knew there was a social justice issue that needed changing, then she worked hard to change it.
In 1997, Prime Minister Jean Chrétien appointed Chalifoux to the Senate, making her the first Indigenous woman to become a senator.
He said, "We need you here right now. We need you here." That was before there was any Truth and Reconciliation coming out or anything. But I think he recognized at the time that there was change happening. Also, she was a woman that was not afraid to speak her mind, and I think they needed that.
I think back and how resilient the First Nations and the Métis and the Inuit were. Given the residential system, the reservation system, the half-breed script, and the forced Inuit relocation, our people are so strong they survived.
In addition to her work creating provincial programs for Indigenous people in the areas of housing, education, and social assistance, Chalifoux was chair of the Standing Committee on Aboriginal Peoples, as well as a member of other standing committees.
But she spoke from the heart, and she spoke to issues that people had been struggling with their whole lives, so,
After retiring in 2004, Chalifoux helped found Mischief Cultural Connections in St. Albert, Alberta.
She wanted a cultural center where people could come and feel comfortable and be able to learn and have a sense of home. And that's what we've created here.
we do various workshops: ribbon skirts, dream catchers, beading, drum making. So there's usually a class going on here every weekend. That's really important for us because that is what allows us to keep Thelma's legacy open and going.
She wanted to promote the culture, and she wanted to leave a lasting legacy for her family in particular.
She always says that her best thing was her family and her kids. She'd want the legacy to continue. She'd want to see the young ones that we have coming up that are doing work in the community. She had a quote of, like, if you see somebody struggling and you don't do anything about it, then you're not doing the job that you're put on this earth to do. It was never about Thelma, never. It was always about the work and who she was helping.
Marcel, back to you.
Truly amazing. What an inspiring life. You can really see the impact that Ms. Chalifoux had on this community and all of Canada. Now we'll hear from Ms. Chalifoux's son, Robert Coulter.
As I've told a few people today, she told me that I would look too old to be her son, so I have to be her younger brother. But I'm sure grateful for the opportunity. And of course, I acknowledge the Métis homeland and of course our Treaty 6 brothers who we share so much history and culture with. I'd like to start today by saying that Thelma Chalifoux was my North Star. And I had the privilege of being her son and watching her evolve into her own North Star, and then help us as her family, her Métis community, and ultimately the society that we're all proud to call Canada. Most people don't take the time to think about what fuels them, what guides them, and what they're put on this planet to achieve. But Mom's life circumstances gave her that opportunity to develop a pathway to success for her and us as her children initially. She had to learn that we are built to do so much more than simply survive. We're built to thrive and build a life that we love, not just make a living. One of the true joys of my experience of Thelma was seeing her helping people find their own North Star, their true calling in life. Mom learned and believed that finding our own North Star helped us live with purpose, and then taught us all to find a reference point to keep us moving in the right direction. To Thelma, it never meant that that life wasn't still a challenge, but she taught us that living with purpose makes it much easier to stay on track and weather the storms that come to us all. Thelma learned herself and then taught us to help identify which are our personal gifts that make us unique. She was a gifted listener and a skilled problem solver who was able to put together solutions to any of our life circumstances. She was uniquely gifted at connecting with people in conversation. She was an entertaining and confident public speaker, and I witnessed her speech-making abilities many times as she spoke and received many standing ovations as she talked to us from the heart to the hearts of the Métis people that she loved. She knew instinctively what our dreams were that spoke to our souls, and she knew how to motivate and inspire us. She learned from her own hard life experiences the challenges and struggles that we all face every day. Thelma was the best example of knowing what got her out of bed in the morning, rain or shine, fired up and ready to go. She called it the work. She used to say, "The work will be here long after we are dead and gone." So it's so important to teach our children to be proud of who they are and the proud heritage and history they came from so they can carry on after us. Mom worked with many gifted leaders over the years who are most passionate about the Métis causes and history and their beliefs and values. I think of the late president of the Alberta Métis, Stan Daniels, who hired her to be a field worker and formed the Métis Land Department back in the early 70s. Then Métis President Larry DeMille, who with Mom's help developed Métis Urban Housing Corporation to help our Métis people obtain affordable housing. And so many more over the years, including Harry Daniels, who received this same honor last year. When Thelma became a part of Pierre Trudeau's Company of Young Canadians as a community organizer, I sat in one of her workshops back then and listened to her teach and explain to community leaders like the late William Bull from the isolated communities around Wabasca, and how to lead his community and negotiate with government regarding policies and programs that are all still bedrock principles today. And if that meant volunteering her time, that's what she did. Whatever it took, she was willing to do it. If it helped the people and it meant serving on a board or attending meetings of any organization or negotiating with government that advanced the Métis or Indigenous cause, Thelma could always be counted on to deliver results for the Métis people. She had the ability to get us the most excited about our own lives. She inspired hope and determination in all whom she met or associated with, and brought clarity and solutions to every issue she faced. She used to tell me, "My boy, we always focus on the issues. We never focus on the personality. That's how you find common ground to get solutions." She knew by hard-won experience that doing the work in this way will always lead us toward our own North Star. Thelma's early life and challenges uniquely shaped her for her incredible future. Her past prepared her to make an impact on our collective future. Her unique challenges that she faced as a child and young adult and then single mother, she was always passionate and could speak from experience about advising and giving guidance to our youth who face those same challenges to this day. Her whole life became about helping people to improve their lives. Many times, as Thelma Chalifoux began to dream big dreams, she faced resistance. People told her, "That's not how it's done, Thelma. You'll never do that." Or, you have to choose between making a living and chasing your dreams. But let me tell you, she proved everybody wrong. She believed you can have it all. You can build a meaningful life and find success and happiness. She used to say, "It's your life, not theirs. Don't live your life based on the expectations of others." As the philosophers have said, the mystery of human existence lies not in just staying alive, but in finding something to live for. So in the spirit of Thelma, let's all go find our own North Star. Love you, Mom.
So we typically go 3, 2, 1 on this. So the moment we've been waiting for, 3, 2, 1.
Beautiful. That's awesome.
Just fantastic. So now I would like to invite Mrs. Warren.
That's what I heard too. Is that Thelma has put her stamp on Canada.
Good one.
That was the first thing that came to my mind when Canada Post got a hold of me. And I just thought, wow, she would just be so tickled pink. So I want to thank everybody for coming to the trip. We're really honored to be here and to honoring this great lady, our matriarch, Thelma. When we started this place, she said that they kicked her out of the Senate at 75. She would have stayed and she could have stayed, I think. She loved it. But she wanted to start a place where people could come and have community and just be part of this historical community that we have, and Michif is it. Michif is our language, it's what we speak. I learned that because she started Michif Cultural Connections. That's important, the community and the legacy that she's left carries on every day. We've got new people in here that never knew Mom and that are part of our board and live and honor and are amazed by what she's done and are so happy to carry on this work that we do. And it is the work, as my brother said. My mom went through a lot. I watched my mom. I grew up with my mom. I was the first one to be able to grow up with my mother completely. And I watched the struggle that she went through, but the thing that was most important to her was her family and her community. That was the main thing that she was strove for, to make sure that everybody was kept safe and looked after, and that all of our kids always knew their Otapinsalak and where they came from. And now we carry on. We have 4 generations of us here today. 4 generations of Thelma are here today. And all these little kids that are here will know that legacy that Thelma has left for them. So just thank you so much for coming. Make sure when you buy stamps that you're buying Thelma. She'll be with you. And just thank you so much, everybody. Enjoy.
Thank you very much, Sharon. What's your name? Yeah, thank you very much. So Sharon and Robert, as a small token of our appreciation, we would like to present to you this picture stamp of Thelma here.
Oh, that's wonderful.
You need a big envelope for that.
All right.
Thanks again. Thanks again.
Thank you.
So thank you again, everyone, for coming out today to this fine event. And be careful on your footing again. Over here to the left-hand side, we'll have some hors d'oeuvres, some hot and cold hors d'oeuvres, served till about 4 o'clock. And we want to thank everyone for their time today for coming out. Thank you for,
And Barb's Bannock.
and Barb's Bannock. I'm supposed to mention the moccasins as well, right? Yes. Thanks, everyone, again. Thanks very much.
Thank you, everyone, for this beautiful day, and everything just turned out so beautiful. And I want to thank the Creator for this wonderful day and for giving us the sunshine. And we ask you, Creator, to bless the food that we are about to eat. And bless everyone here, and may they enjoy it. And bless everyone as they travel home. And we thank you for your Son's name. Amen.
Thank you.